The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank check. It seems the ones that coming after quick to disrespect. You see, this life in the ghetto never easy. So many hungry days break till it grieve me.
Good night, Bahamas, and welcome to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I am your host, Valentino Brown, aka Scoochie or Scrooge, host of the talk show Inside the Inner City. That's my Maz on Guardian Radio every 6:30 to 8 p.m. Telephone numbers tonight on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and you can text us, powered by BTC, at 422-GR96. Our producer in studios is Kermit, who has been missing in action for a couple of weeks. He must have been on a long vacation. They see you put on a lot of weight. So I want to give a special request to our producer, who's been doing a wonderful job for numerous years on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Today on Inside the Inner City, we're going to talk about the recent homicides and shooting that has been plaguing the country for roughly the entire year. But just recently we had a uprise in shootings and homicides in the country. So we just want to discuss that and what you think, what's going on in our country, why so many young men out there are just, taking one another out. It's just crazy out there. So where are we going to begin? Okay, this is where we're going to begin. We had, I think it was last year or this year. Can't really remember. So much things been happening, I can't keep track. I read a lot. Well, we had 6 people got shot and killed a few months back. And up to this day, we have not seen no one being brought before the courts to be prosecuted for a heinous crime in the country. Yeah, 6 young men lost their lives. So I listened to the commissioner a few weeks ago, and he explained, and the Minister of National Security was saying how they believe one of the suspects has passed away and the rest has fled the country, and etc. So this is for the young men out there who are involved in violent crimes. I want you to be very careful of what you are doing. Right now, it might be fun for you. Do what you're doing. You're misguided. You really don't have no one to really depend on. So, you are doing your survival instincts. Things are tough in the community. Probably come from a single home. Probably got a father and mother. Probably live in a community where there's no role models. Probably from the day you were born, you just were seeing violence in that community or in that family. Either mom always rowing with numerous different boyfriends, or father is not around, or the child is staying with the father. Probably the father goes through the same extreme of child being exposed to a lot of rowing, alcohol, etc. Because people right now is under a lot of pressure. So many persons are just trying to live day by day. They don't have really time to really focus on their children. So the children themselves is basically growing up themselves. The parents are providing the basic needs that the kid probably needs, but the kid needs a parent. The kid needs someone to look up to, someone to love, someone to hug, someone to kiss, someone to say bedtime stories, And so all this is going on. You live in a drug-infested community. There's no work, high employment in the community. From you growing up, you're seeing violence, from neighbors and et cetera, a lot of row in the neighbors. So this is what most of our inner city people face in the country. And I'm not giving an excuse for their actions. I'm just having a conversation today to see if I can make some sense. Because it's very difficult. What's happening in the country, as you look, we saw 6 young men get killed. Who killed those guys? Where are those responsible for killing those guys? Okay? So no justice was served. But we heard again where I think I heard the Commissioner of Police or the Minister of National Security suggestion that one of the suspects is deceased and then the rest has fled the country. So we have 6 people got shot and got killed. And then the suspects, presumably one is deceased. We don't know how much suspect it was. And then they said fled, so they must have a number on how many suspects was involved in the shooting incident. Ask yourself a question. And I know these 6 young men who were shot a few months back. All of them have family, so not to offend no one family, because we're trying to have a conversation and see how we could correct this situation, learn from the loss of life of these 6 young men, and see if we can try and have a dialogue where we can say, hey, to the rest of the young men out there, that if you go down this path, this is what's going to happen to you. Yeah, so I just want to send my condolences for the 6 young men. I knew 2 of the young men in that shooting. One of them, Travis, was my neighbor. In fact, one of the young men lost his brother a day before, so his mom actually had a double whammy after the shooting of her son. Her next son passed away a little later on that night from complications of, I think, COVID-19. And many people were saying that the 6 young men who got shot and killed were innocent or were good young men. Now, I'm not here to criticize no one character. I'm just here to have a conversation, and let's see if we could use our imagination to see if 6 young men can actually be targeted for doing nothing wrong. They just get released from the station, and they're on their way to go to their families, loved ones who they're being missing for a few days, because they were locked up in a particular police station, and they were split up. So I guess they were going around from one station to the next, picking up their friends based on being released for a gun possession charge. And as they were picking up their fellow friends, they were ambushed. Innocent guys were ambushed by some young man who had the intent to kill everyone in that vicinity, and they opened fire, and 6 of the young men were killed instantly. And then I think a little young child got shot in that particular massacre. Why would innocent people or innocent young men be targeted like that for some reason whatsoever by unknown assailants? Like I said, another young man in character. But why would they be targeted? Someone in the car, I don't know who it is, or how many of them was involved in some type of quarrel with some other young man, probably in their community or another community, and it reached a boiling point where guns are being involved over the course leading up to this event. So that means there was something brewing between one or two of those young men in the car, the car with the six young gentlemen in it. One or two of them probably had some beef with some other young man. Way before they got shot, young man them got some information. News is travel. We get technology now. Was able to send information that the guys them were going to a certain station, and they ambushed them. This is in broad daylight now. So we have the assailants who are responsible for the shooting now taking a chance to arm themselves with masks, with AK-47, unlicensed car, to take this chance to go on the road when there's heavy police patrols on the streets, just to look for their enemies. So YC said it's being released, or the station was an investigation for a firearm charge. You have assailants who heard that they were being released, and information spread. They did some calling, saying, we need to go get these guys, and in broad daylight. So the mindset of the young men them who went and get the AK-47, went and get their friends, when they went and get the 40, and when they went to get the stolen car. Was the car had been stolen. So these young men them are very creative on their planning on how to do drive-bys and to get away with murder. And this is our culture. This is what in us now, in our males, in our females. And this is the generation that we face in the country today. So I just talking. So now, broad daylight, the assailants would risk their life facing the Royal Bahamas Police Force, who are trained to deal with these type of matters, who are on patrol. Patrol cars are riding around. You're seeing the CID cars ride around. You see the police bus riding around. You're seeing the police motorbike ride around. But these young men, them who are determined to get those 6 young gentlemen, say the hell with those police. So their mindset was that when they go on their move, that we ain't worrying about the police. If the police pull up, it could be a shootout, right? It's us or them, okay? So that's the thinking of how these fellas was thinking. It only could have been what they was thinking. And you could see they mean business, because when they had a chance to do their ambush, they executed well, and guess what? They got away with it in broad daylight, where there's cameras on the streets, where there's hundreds of police officers on the streets, where there's patrol cars on the streets, where there's witness on the streets, and they were able to get away with it. So here's the thing. If the 6 guys who were in the car got killed from assailants, there had to be some type of falling out, some type of disagreement between the parties. Young man, listen to me good, and listen good. Today, you pull that trigger and you harm somebody, okay? As you continue to do that, okay, eventually, one day, it's going to get turned on you from somebody who's thinking the same way like you because you hurt somebody in their family and they know it's you and they know what type of person you is. So they're going to build up their nerve. This is what we call it, build up their nerve. And they picture you. And all they saying is you because you shoot their brother, shoot their cousin, and you shoot a couple other people in the community and around town. So this person is going to picture you in their mind. And as they sleep, they say, I got to get this young guy. Now, mind you, all of us are brothers and sisters. All of us are so-called black. I don't think we're no different color. But when we get angry, we forget about everything. And the only thing we want to do is use the gun, use the knife, tell lies, and plot on one another. All right? So you're going to be a target now. I don't care how bad you is, how many people you shoot, how many people you kill. One day, it's going to be you. Trust me on this. It's going to be you. You're not going to miss it. And if you miss it, it's because you decided, I'm going to slow down. If you miss it, it's very rare that you miss it when you keep up with doing harm and hurting innocent people. And it's very rare that you make it. All right? So I'm advising you, stop creating enemies. The more enemies you have, the shorter you will live. All right? I'm saying this because, let me tell you something about me real quick. When I was a teenager, I don't know if anyone was listening to the show a few weeks ago. I had former Assistant Commissioner of Police in studios, Mr. Sean Ferguson. He was in charge of the firearms unit when they was assigned to apprehend or eradicate gang leaders across the country. And in those gang leaders they were talking about some big name gang leaders, They're talking about guys like Marvin Bodie and Mason Edition. You had Kelsey, a.k.a. Lundy. He's a good person now. His alias is Scrooge. Kelsey Lundy, a.k.a. Scrooge, he's a good person now, changed his life around. Good gentleman. But this is when we were young and foolish and making bad choices and bad decisions. You are like Stephen Dye Stubbs. He is now in prison serving like 35 years. You are like James Charles, a.k.a. Chucky, who was the leader of the Border Boys. I was one of the leaders also. I had my friend also, Santana Forbes, who's the early leader of the Border Boys. It really started earlier through Honeycomb Street with Dr. F. I always remember that was Santana Forbes, and that's when I was a young boy. And you had many other guys across town. You had Blacks and Best Street. You had many Dion Emperor Knowles. Anyone who was involved in gang activity or on the radar with the Royal Bahamas Police Force, they were target. Now, tell me if we was making any sense. I mean, if I wasn't making any sense, let me speak on my behalf. I was shot at more times from enemies than me shooting at my enemies. In the course of my career, I saw top gangster. I was one of the top gangsters in Nassau. And I'm not bragging about this. I'm just saying this because I'm using this on how we could use this as a learning lesson. And for those who listening can see the experience I had when I was a young man. All right? Every time I would get in problems, not because of me, because of my friends. Anytime we go to the nightclubs, someone in the group would always get themselves in problem because they had a big crew of guys with them. And I was always one to protect my boys. He's living as one. And sometimes the guys who pick in trouble, they pick trouble and they were dead wrong. But that's your friend. And you take up for your friend and then you gang an innocent man who wasn't wrong. So when we mess him up, he has a brother, he has a cousin who is an ex-gangster like me, but he lives in a different area. And we mess him up bad. Later on that night, that guy, cousin or brother, would sneak around the club and try to shoot me to kill me. Okay? Sometimes I get catch off guard, but through the grace of God, I'm still here today. And it was a long lesson for me. And I would never get hit. But the strange part about it, my friends who was on the side of me, they would get hit. Some friends like who got shot on the side of me. Right? I'm going to call some of the name because when I talk, I like to talk the truth. I'm not a liar. Anything comes out of my mouth, it's the truth. That's why I had former Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. John Ferguson here, and he verified the fact that how much problem we used to cause him. So when you want to know about crime and you know about gangsterism and you want to know about those stuff, you listen to an expert and one who experienced it. And I only talking about it so that we can try and change the mindset of some of the young persons in the country who probably listen to the show. And those who listen out there could probably get a good understanding on what's really, really going on in our country. And like I said, a little difficult. Oh. Yeah. And I would get shoot at. So I'm going to call some of the name. And this would happen when you like company, all right? My friend Terry Marshall, he's living. He got shot on the side of me. Guys were shooting at me. And they shoot Terry Marshall. He ended up getting shot in his leg, broke his leg. Then I had my friend Mario Seymour, Chicken, we call him, nickname. We were together on East Street. And this guy who was a rebellion raiders, his name was Marley at that time. And in that particular day, I got shot twice with bird gun. What we call a bird gun, it was a 12 gauge, but we used to mix bullets with buck and pellet. Pellet is the one like what you shoot for the bird, and then the buck is the dead bullet. That hit you, that's it. Pellet can hit you two in close range, but pellet is like, one shot pellet, one shot buck. That's how in our time we used to use a 12 gauge. 12 gauge is one of the most deadliest guns in the world, especially with the buckshot. Yeah, so I got hit twice that day. This was a Thursday with pellets, so I had must see about 200 pellets in me. That same day, the guy who we gang earlier, his brother, came running after me. Now there's two set of shooting in one day. Two guys came after me and my friend Mario Chicken, and shoot us with a shotgun first. Fall on the ground. I got myself back up. Fired the buck. That was like thunder and lightning. All the traffic stopped on East Street, and we just see one big ball of fire going out up East Street Hill, hold the gun. And then this next guy, who was the Rebellion Raiders, Franz Pascal, he was second in charge of the Raiders. He came run after me with a 9mm. He fired a shot at us on East Street. This is broad daylight. We're in front of Big One. In broad daylight, we're in front of Big One. Now, this is a Thursday. This is actually around about anywhere between 11, 12 a.m. in the day. This is like 1996, 97, or 1998. I can't really remember the days. And then Franz came out of us. Me and Al was together. Me and Chicken was together. And he opened fire with his 9mm. Shot Al in his leg. And he was trying to shoot me, shoot Al in his leg. He ran behind me. I ran through Salem, Union Baptist, straight shortcut. He ran behind me. He fired. And all I could hear was just bullet grazing me, my head, big chunks of the road. I run it for my life. It seemed like I'm in the Matrix. Like, I can't get to the corner. You know, my friend Chicken was on the side of the house. So France was firing at me with the 9mm. And Chicken got he panicked, and then he came out and he ran on the road with me. And then he got shot in his back from France, and he dropped on the ground. I ran in the corner because France still was shooting. This guy must be fired about, he must be fired about 15 shots out of that day. We got 2 shots out of the 12 gauge, so you're looking at 17 shots in a space of about 30 seconds. One from a 12 gauge shotgun, which we already got a hit with pellets, and then one with a 9mm. And that's Franz Pascal. He's still living, and I know they're listening to the show right now. And he fired, and he shot Chicken in his back. You know, Chicken dropped on the ground. I turned around for Chicken, tried to pick him up. Franz started to shoot single at me because I was trying to pick my friend up. You know, we wasn't no cowards. You know, we was friends. So I wasn't going to leave my friend even though my life was in danger. But when I saw him on the ground, I turned around, and I went to pick him up. And when I went to pick him up, Franz started to shoot single. But lucky for me, and God is good, he really only had but 2 more shots in the gun. So I think he ready to fire 13 shots at us in one corner. And then when he fired the 14-1 single, that one just rushed past and cracked and break the car glass. And then the 15-1 just bounced off the road, and then his gun going click. And then I run behind him, and then he ran on the corner. And then that was it. I went back. I picked up Chicken, and, you know, he's panicking. Blood was spouting with his nose and his mouth. He couldn't breathe, you know, so I had to calm him down. So I gave him one hard slap, you know, because we were seeing a lot of shootings in the community. Yeah, so that's when you like to get in people's business. If I didn't go and pick trouble and beat the boy brother up, Chicken wouldn't get shoot, I wouldn't get shoot, and we wouldn't have been in that mess. So as bad as I is, imagine that, as bad as I is, someone's still trying to kill me. So what sense of being bad? I thought when you're bad, everyone's supposed to be afraid of you, that they'd be afraid to shoot you, that when they see you, they'd break off running. It don't work like that. As long as you continue to pick trouble, that person who you picking trouble with could be the softest person in the world, and you could slap him right up. I learned this from being in the gang. Softest are the people used to pick up, take advantage of. But boy, listen, when those guys get tired, they's be your worst enemy. The majority of our worst enemies was the guys who were scary, and then we used to slap them up and beat them up. But after they got tired of that, they turned monsters. So yeah, I'm one of the baddest guys. You know, my friend James Charles, I think Chucky got shot. Chucky got shot once in his leg. He got shot from Kelsey Lundy, who was the leader of the Raiders, in the stomach. So Chucky got shot about 4 different times, and Chucky was the gang leader. All right? My friend Terry Marshall, like I said, he got shot aside of me. My friend JP, who lived in Freeport, he got shot on the side of me. My friend Keno Roberts, he got shot on the side of me. He deceased. Those 3 I already called, they got injured. They was attempting murders on those 3. Keno Roberts got shot on the side of me, passed away. Mario Peterson, who's now living in the States, he got shot in the spark on the side of me. My friend Sidney Thompson, who lives on the Fortman's Castle, just by hanging with me, he got shot 3 times hanging with me. Guy shot at us 3 times, shooting at me. My friend, who else? There's many more. Many more. It just happened over time. And I can't remember everything. So what I'm saying to the young gentlemen out there, as long as you live the life, someone is going to target you. Whether you're the aggressor or you're the aggressor. All right? So stop creating enemies. You're not going to win the war. In my lifetime, anyone who know me, anybody who know me, I was one of the most troublesome, nervous, and devious young man you could ever been around. I was up to no good. In my lifetime, I can remember the incidents where I got shot at individually by at least 23 different gang leaders or gang members in my lifetime. 23 different times. With 9mm, shotgun, Uzi, 357, 245, and I mean guys was basically trying to kill me. All right? Because on the other end, on my end, I was trying to do the same thing, but it created so much enemy. Everyone was coming at me from all around Nassau. I had guys from all around Nassau looking to kill me. I've had guys like Marvin Bodie, like I tell you, shot at me. Kelsey Lundy shot at me. Even former minister of aviation of the Free National Movement, Frankie Campbell, him and my good friend also retired, Superintendent Alaka, even the police officers shot at me, in my lifetime because I was a target. So this goes to say, do you think by you taking a gun and go and kill somebody, it's not going to come back to you? You think it's not going to come back to you? It's going to come back to you. I don't think no one in this country here knows as many people got killed by firearm in the country. I don't think no one in this country has been involved in more firearm-involved incident than what happened to me when I was living and being a gangster in Grandstand. Like I said, 23 times from 23 different guys who tried to kill me. And I could call all their names. Some deceased, some still living. So you're not going to make it. I don't care how bad you is. As long as you're living a life, the same way how you creep up on that guy, the same way you sneak up through the shortcut. Hey? You see the guy sitting down on the wall, and you and your friend plot on him and you run up on him? Hey? What you think is going to happen to you? You don't think someone is thinking the same way like you? All of us think the same way. All of us who have a mindset of violence and gun violence, we always think of ways on how to ambush because this is what we spend our time on. So you're going to cancel out one another in this country, and then you're going to hurt innocent people. So I want to advise people out there, stay away from argument because you don't know what you get yourself into. The person you get yourself in an argument with could be a petty-minded person and has access to 1 or 2, 3 guys or 4 guys who just want something to do. You don't have to do them nothing. You want a person just could be around in a nightclub, and he has a friend in the nightclub. And you could be around over a basketball game, similar to the basketball game, or someone asks you to buy them a beer. And because you don't want to buy them a beer, they have a problem with you. And they will fight you for your own things, and they mad for your own things. Because you buy someone else's beer, and they ask you to buy a beer. You say, no, bro, it didn't work like that. Man, you can't buy me a beer? And you might don't believe this. You was a target if you don't watch yourself. In the parking lot, that same guy and his friend, it'd be waiting on you just because you didn't buy them a beer. And they'd kill you just because you didn't buy them a beer. For your own money. That's how we living right now. That's our Bahamas for us right now. That's our young man for us. We like people teens. Huh? But you ain't gonna make it. You think you could go out there? Trust me. My boy, Samuel Mouche McKenzie. Mouche. They had him as the baddest man in Nassau. He was not the baddest man in Nassau. There were other guys out there who were rougher and tough and more dangerous than him. Some just never got caught up in the system, and they were walking around the streets. It's just him got caught up. And yes, he was one of the baddest men in the country because he mean business. All of us did mean business because we grew up with the mother and the father figure in our community. All right? Look what happened to him. How much people, my good friend, Mouche, was involved in so-called murders. And how many other young men he trying on to being bad and teach them how to use the gun. And they went on and become hitman or gangsters. And many guys were afraid of him. What happened to him? You know what happened to him? He got shot 15 times. All right? My friend, my cousin Julian Woodside, they have yet to find his body. You know, they have yet to find his body. And we heard the story that he got decapitated where his head was removed, his 2 hands and legs were chopped up. And this happened in our community. This when Grandstand was a war zone. All right? I know and grew some of the roughest and toughest gangsters in Nassau. What I grew them, not knowing I was doing something very wrong. And then other people did it. You know? Yeah, Mushe, 15 times. You know? Just look at Emperor, the big boss man, Dion, Emperor Knowles. The big man. No disrespect to his family. I'm just using these as examples of what would happen to you. Huh? He gone too. Avoid arguments. Be careful. All right? Because you got a bunch of uneducated young boys in this country who you can't have a sensible conversation with. And that's what our country come to. You know, and I'm really, really ashamed too. I was watching the House of Parliament, I think 2-3 days ago. And I saw where the Minister of Health, Mr. Darwell, he was making reference to a point of order concerning the housing lot program. And he said, like, in his words, he said, you know, ministers, the former opposition leader and the former prime minister was trying to respond back, and Mr. Darwell, Minister of Health, told Minister sit down. Now, I don't think he meant the way how the former prime minister took it. I think he was just saying that, you know, you shouldn't be talking because you know exactly what is going on. You have all the details. You know exactly what's going on the lots and stuff like that. So don't count like you know what's going on. So you just need to sit down. He didn't mean like tell him sit down, like demand him to sit down, like, you know, sit down. No, that wasn't that kind of sit down. But minister took it like how he took it like a sit down. And then he said, you know, this is the former prime minister, this is the former opposition leader of the country. He said, you, Mr. Darwell, make me sit down. Now, if we have 2 millionaires in the House of Parliament, one is a former prime minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, right? And then we have now a minister of health. Now, like I said, Mr. Darwell wasn't, I mean, how I am taking it, I don't think he meant like, man, sit down. He wasn't meaning that type of sit down. He said, you know exactly what's going on, so you shouldn't be standing there talking. You need to sit down and play like you know? That's what he's meaning. And then we have the prime minister, the former prime minister in response, and how he said that you need to make him sit down. This is something in our country that cannot be accepted. If these two guys are multimillionaires, right, and the former prime minister acted in that type of manner in the House of Parliament, got angry that he wanted to fight. So what is the reflection out there for the younger persons who living in the country today and they're seeing this? If y'all are multimillionaires and y'all can't have a debate, right, where you don't have to argue and speak out of anger and intimidate one another, because we have a country to save. This is not about politics now. Election has been over now, gone in 3 months, 4 months now. This is about getting this country right, because we have a lot of violent crimes happening in the country. We have over 100 murders in the country. Okay? We have high poverty in the country. Okay? We have people who don't have a place to sleep. We have people who don't have no food. If you look at the singing prophets Lawrence Road, you could see on his food distribution that people are hurting in the country. We don't have no time for no politics right now. We need this opportunity right now to find solutions for our country's problem. We could take this one call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City. Go ahead, good night.
Hello.
Yes, good night, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't see where the fight in the House of Assembly make any sense
Yes.
with the two prime ministers, nor with any of the other people that are in the House. They need to conduct themselves in a cordial manner, and if they can't do that, they might as well close the House of Assembly down,
Yes, sir.
because it is frustrating the young people of this nation, and the two-party system need to go. This country is mesmerized with two-party system, and the economy isn't going nowhere. So they may as well close everything down and get everything straightened out with sense.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's completely embarrassing. That's why I say these people don't care about the country. We have guys going in people's doorsteps early in the morning with AK-47. We had 6 people killed, right? We just had a triple murder on the Fort Finn Castle. We just had 2 murders in Freeport, right? We just had the little baby girl just got basically beat to death. Okay? We have over 100 plus murders in the country. These guys don't care about the country. If you see 2 grown men who's multi-millionaires, now these guys on the streets who fighting up in the road with guns and etc., these guys, them, don't have no more than $1,000 on their buying book a piece. But we have 2 multi-millionaires in the House of Assembly and a former prime minister conducting himself, telling the next man to come make him sit down. That's his response. So you're telling me I need anger management. You as the prime minister, we have all this violent former prime minister in the country. We have all this violence going on in the country. And this is what you're going to do on national TV because someone made you upset. And we get all this problem that is going on in our country. You know, I want to advise people in this country, stay away from argument. Stay away from rowing with people. Some people are demons, okay? Sometimes you got to keep your mouth closed and know how to open your mouth, okay? Stay away from hot spots. You know, if you see someone get killed, through the corner there, why would you want to go and sit down there? What point you trying to make? That's someone just get killed last night, right there, okay? Why would you want to go hang there? And you know that's a hot spot. Okay? Stay away from that. If you know a bar or a restaurant where there's a group in and there's always shooting, stay away from there. Do not go. You know? If you have a problem with your girlfriend and she aggravates you and she gets you mad and she says some hurtful things to you, rather take it and go walk outside. Your best of your ability. I know it's going to be tough. Sometimes it's just near impossible to walk away, but you're going to have to. Else you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison for making a wrong choice. Okay? Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Good.
Go ahead.
What do you say, big brother?
Everything good, sir.
Where's he from?
You from?
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
Boy, he'll keep it his mouth, keep it his life.
Yes. Go ahead, bro.
I'm a first-time caller, but you know me from a child.
Yes, sir.
And,
I'm proud of you, bro.
I'm very proud of you. It's so refreshing
to actually see the person you become. All of these stories you say, I call it, let everybody know, they fact. I go up from a little boy and I saw how you all handle things and how you all maneuver. So to actually see the person you are today, man, that's a miracle.
Yes.
And if you could change, there's hope for anybody.
Yes.
There's hope for anybody. And I come from that same area that you came from, and I saw that and I said, man, I want it better for myself too.
Yes. Ephraim,
And, hey,
I ain't cutting you off. How many shooting we used to have, just say, every day in our community or the 365 days of the year?
every day.
How much people used to get shoot? Go ahead.
I record times when me and my friends them could be shooting marbles and fellas coming around there and all kind of children out playing baseball, basketball. The shooting could happen at any time from in the morning straight to night. I could say a personal story. I remember I was coming from a shortcut. This particular fellow, we know him, Rasta, from to the corner there by Twindham.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking out through the alley and come on the T-junction on the main A Street. And he was running after somebody. Immediately when I came out of the shortcut on the main road, I mean, the gun was right to my head clicking. Now, he didn't put the gun to me, but he was running after somebody, and I just happened to walk in the middle. And the gun jammed and it didn't go on off. When he ran back to the corner, the gun started firing and it gone off. So that's just to give a testament of how real these stories are. So everything what Scooty saying is the truth.
You know, and I'm so proud of you. You know, you said you didn't want to end up like that because you know we always encourage you guys to be like us. You know, we don't want to get it. Yeah. We was deep, man. We was deep. But I'm so happy that you guys took that. Now you guys are doing excellent as young men. You know, I'm also proud of you. You know.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
you want to say anything else?
This Ephraim, I gone on a long drive all the way west just to even hear you, just so I don't just pull up home. Just to hear you people, everything this man saying is the truth. Like, everybody else coming from where they come from, they might have people they look up to in the legend. This man is a legend. Everything he's saying is true, and guess what? Plenty things he ain't saying what happened. They happen.
Mm-hmm.
Real talk, they happen. So yeah, man, so trust me, keep it up, keep your head up, buddy. You're doing great things.
Thank you very much, man, my good friend, man.
Yeah, man.
And I'm lucky to see you soon as my restaurant finish renovating.
All right, no problem, you know that.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. And that's one of our young men who grew up in the community, and he didn't end up being like us. He watched us. He grew up under Mouche, he grew up under me and Chucky, and we were the leaders, and he said no. We told him no, and he became a successful young man. Go ahead, caller. You on Inside in the City.
How you doing, brother?
I'm fine, sir.
Yeah, listening to your show tonight, I want to just call you and encourage you to continue doing a show like this to enlighten the community of what's happening.
Yes, sir.
You know, I am off Strong's Corner, East Street.
Yes.
And you know who takes that, and you know who takes that in.
Yes, yeah, Raiders. That was the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And when I hear you talk about the past and how things was back then and all of that, we used to carry on and let's use this word, dig up the road.
Yes.
I encourage you to continue to talk to the young people because today on social media, I noticed where they want to bring back this program that comes on one of the local televisions where they're talking about scaring these young men. I consider it to be abuse.
Shock treatment.
Yes, that program is totally abusing young men. Wow. Because no matter how much my parents threatened me or whatever beating I got, that didn't change me. That made me got me angry, and I wanted to take my anger out on different people, people outside of my family realm.
Yes, sir.
So, just continue to talk sense.
Yes, sir.
I know when I see you around Fleet Street area and stuff, and when you talk and all that kind of stuff,
Yes, sir.
Just keep pushing, man.
Yes, sir.
Because I believe those who have the tools to make a change doesn't use the tools.
Yes.
to better young men. They use the tools for their personal gain.
Yes.
And there's one particular pastor who continues saying that he was a gang member. One of these days, I'm going to expose him.
Yes.
I'll let him know what the truth is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Hold tight, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much for the call and the word of thanks. And I want to say thanks to Ephraim and the call of just now. You know, and when I'm speaking to the general public, like I said, these things happen. I don't know how I'm living today, but I'm a living testimony. And I tell you, I was one of the voice of the voice. But I just want the general public to know this also. I was never a person involved in armed robbery. I never was a person involved in rape. I was never a person involved in nothing that say isn't human. I was involved in gang. I was a violent person. So the only way you get to me, if you bother my friends or bother me, it's a problem. But I was never a rapist. I was never one who plot on someone's life who ain't do me nothing. I was never one who robbed. That was not my motto. In fact, if anyone knew me, I had guys in the crew who used to rob and who used to rape. I asked guys how we used to deal with them, if they know the streets. We didn't never used to allow those stuff. All right? Especially the rape part. Part of the old people, breaking into people's houses and stuff like that. I used to command. Me and my friend Chucky, and myself, we had a few others. You know which people I used to command in this country? I could tell you I had over close to about 2,000 or more young men under our disposal who used to be in our crew, in the Border Boys, who we connected with in this country. And I won't even talk about the connection with the Raiders, who they must have had about 5,000 or more young men. They were the biggest group in Nassau, all right? And we were the Border Boys. And I can tell you, I can remember 1992, this was quincentennial, and we were going to the fort to celebrate quincentennial. I asked where the line was. Now, we left off Hay Street Park. Hay Street Park is in Grandstand. I was through Curry Mission Road on Nassau Street, where Bamboo Shack is now, going through Harlem. I asked the guys where the line was. And we were walking on the road. And the road, we took up the whole road. And when I asked where the line was, the line still was on Hay Street Park. You hear me? That's how much young guys who was involved in violent crimes. Where were their mothers? Where were their fathers? Where were their uncles? Where were their cousins? Where were the pastors? You understand? And today, we have the same problem today. Young brothers, you ain't gonna make it out there. Refrain yourself from creating enemies. Whatever you manifest. Hey, watch this. You know how I get into guns? Because I wanted guns. I went and looked for a person who was in the community who had guns. And I went because that's what I wanted to do. You don't have to do that. You could go read your book. You could go learn a trade. You could look up a way to be a car dealer, to own your own convenience store, own your own barber shop. You know, think about this. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to respect you for shooting, killing somebody, you know. 20 years ago, probably if you had killed somebody, you would have been big up. You know, or give you respect. Nowadays, everyone killing. It's play out now. You know, gangs play out. This is about survival right now. You know? So, you know, it's serious, you know. You ain't even safe in the prison. You know? You ain't even safe in the prison. Let me read these few messages. Someone asked me a question, say, hey, question, why would a young man wants to join a gang? Why would a young man wants to join a gang? Okay, first of all, if you live in a community where there are no role models, where the pastors are not coming out the four walls and trying to be a father figure to the broken homes in the community, because most all of the homes are broken in the community. You don't see fathers and mothers together. It's rare you see a father and mother together in the inner city community. Most are separate, all right? So there's no positive programs going on in the community. They're just young people at the age of, say, from roughly 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, hanging on the streets right now, all around Nassau. Right now, anyone could ride around anywhere in Nassau right now, and I can guarantee you won't see a person who age 30-something in the grouping of the kids who are hanging on the streets right now. They're just kids. So they're out there, they're trying rocket cars, they're bottoming the younger girls, they're having sex. As the youngest they is, they're having sex with the younger girls, because they're the young girls at the age of 12, 13 who are hanging out with the young guys in the streets, and they go with them in all abandoned buildings in the community. So we have the young generation right now on the streets now, acting like they're man and woman, okay? So we have a community that has no employment. We have no spirituality. We have no programs, no community centers. We just have a drug-infested community where neighbors fighting with one another, parents in together, poverty in the community. All the people see is police all day because we fighting against one another. There's no positive program. So all this year causes young man to join gangs, because in the community, just say, if I'm a guy who selling a little bit of weed, I can't get a job, my record is bad, so I just come into prison, I resort to selling marijuana, or selling crack cocaine, or selling firearms, right? These are my three options, right? I have a next option, either be a hitman, right? So, me live in the community. The guy whoever selling the drugs, he need protection, he need a next shooter. He see upcoming young guy and see you once or twice fighting in the road, he calls you on the side, or you start to hang around him. He started to put the gun in your hand, show you how to use it. He only got to show you once. It only takes you one time to learn how to work a gun. One time to learn how to work a gun. Okay, and it just, after that, if you let the gun get to you, you can be the judge, jury, and executioner. So you follow behind that guy, start to do things for him, and then you start to get more friends to hang around you, because now people are more attractive to negativity than the positive. So that's why we need to have more positive programs in the community, basketball tournaments, tennis program, after-school program, tutoring classes. We need to do all these things right now in our communities. And that leaves the young person vulnerable in the community. And then he becomes a burden to the community. He causes problems in the community, picks trouble with the neighbors, and then eventually it starts a turf war. And then they go to the nightclub. When they go to the nightclub, they have their gun from this area. They live in Grandstand. They go to a nightclub. They meet some guys from down East Street. Those guys get their gun. You get your gun. We reach in the club. All of us are man, our testosterone and go in. We can't sell our difference. Okay? We start to argue. We start to fight. Then you look, it's a gunfight. So that's how most of our young men and our females right now get themselves involved in gangs. And they ain't even gangs. Gangs ain't even a thing now. It's just everyone right now has their own personal gang, their individual self. So it ain't even the gangs I'm concerned about now. I'm talking about people doing the same things what the gangs are doing. Individual person doing the same thing. The blues are playing the music. So we take a break. So don't go nowhere. We'll be right back on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
The ghetto people I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro.
helping out each other, family and everybody. It's a simple act of kindness with you, me, and RBC.
RBC wants to spread acts of kindness during this festive season. One simple act of kindness for our friends, co-workers, and communities can cause the brightest smile. Help a stranger, give a food basket, or call an elderly person. Share your stories at facebook.com/RBC Caribbean.
Acts of kindness, RBC.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
Loss of family members is very isolating, and people who have experienced loss appreciate when others have shared their grief. If you can't be there in person, go to the Nassau Guardian's website online at thenassauguardian.com and visit our obituary link. The Nassau Guardian's interactive obituary link allows you to read the funeral announcement, express condolences, or place photos on the online guest book for 1 full year. Losing a loved one is painful, but that pain isn't the worst thing to happen. Friends, loved ones, colleagues, and neighbors who ignore the loss compound the pain. Should the bereaved family wish to place the obituary and photos on our obituary site, just contact the Guardian's funeral industry partners or the Nassau Guardian. Remember, there isn't one magic right thing to say to someone experiencing loss that will make the loss less painful or easier to bear. The Nassau Guardian's obituary link, available online at thenassauguardian.com.
COVID-19 doesn't take holidays off, and neither should you. We can celebrate the holiday season while continuing to follow all public health protocols and regulations. We must also remember to wash our hands and sanitize frequently. Wear our masks, cough and sneeze into our elbows, disinfect items brought into our homes, stay at least 3 feet away from others in public, and remain at home when we're feeling unwell. Let's have a happy and healthy holiday.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Platoon! Attention! Fire left! Mark! Left, right, in the government boots, in the government boots. Many guns in this town. Hey, too many guns passing round. Too many guns in this town. Yeah, too many guns passing round. And every day you open the paper, all you read about is murder. Man is a shooting spree, but that don't worry me. Yes, this one have a fun, that one have a fun. And they go shoot each other for fun.
We're back on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I'm your host, Valentino Brown, a.k.a. Scrooge or Scoochie. I want to finish answer this message for this young lady. She said she wanted to know why would a young man want to join the gun. That's the reason why they want to join the gun. It's the environment, what they're seeing every day, what they pressure to. Back in our days, we were pressured, but in the day, it's a choice. You could be in a gang or you won't have to be in a gang. You know, the guys ain't that serious like how it was where we demand for you to be in the gang. That was back 25, 30 years ago, because if you live in the community, you had to be a part of the gang, all right? She says she has 2 boys. As a parent, I want to know, man being grown up by single mothers, is this a problem for boys? In many cases, it is. It is because a mom only could do so much to reach a child, especially a male child. A father, when he speaks, he's a lion. Child would respond more quicker. When the father speaks, I felt that if my father was involved in my life, my father was in prison serving life sentence for murder. So I never saw my father till I was around about 26, 27 years of age. So I never had a father figure in my life. In fact, my mom, she was, she turned her life around. She was on drugs, so she had no time for no children. So my grandmother grew me up in Grandstand, and Grandstand at the time was a drug-infested community. Me and my friend Santana Forbes, all of us grew up in the neighborhood. James Charles, all of us grew up in this time, so that's how come we got involved in gang activity and selling drugs and this kind of, because that's what we saw as young persons, and we inherit that from persons who we saw in the community, and now that's being passed on in our country today. She says, man, growing up by single mothers, yes, it's a problem. Fathers right now are needed more in this country. I'm advising fathers. All these guys who shooting these guns, right, involved in murders or in gang activity, where are their fathers? Some are dead, but some are still young. Fathers, you need to try to reach out to your sons, because your sons are causing destruction of the country. Talk to your son. Many of fathers living today, talk to your son, talk to your daughter. If you know your son is involved in illegal activities, you know what the outcome is going to be. You know what the outcome is going to be. He's going to hurt innocent people, and then eventually he's going to cause himself get killed. He's going to cancel it out himself. So fathers, go talk to your son. Sometimes they're sitting on, they want guidance, but they don't have nobody, Just like the father's non-existent in their life, Go, even though there might be hatred between the father and the son, because, when a household is broken, right? The father doesn't want to go around the house no more because the mother and them don't have the love no more, and the mother's very aggressive, and every time the father try to come around, she'd be, oh, you're a no good man and all that, and then, he don't want to put his hand on her because they had an abusive relationship. It's abusive because it goes two ways. Our females are very abusive on the way they talk to men, okay? And men are abusive to females when they get agitated and they hit, and sometimes they go too far, and just as a female, they're abusive and they don't know how to talk to men, and men don't know how to talk to a woman nowadays. So we have to get this right. We're going to take this call. Go ahead, caller. You want Inside the Inner City?
Yeah, Blessed Scroogy, Inside the Inner City. What's going on?
Everything good.
Yeah, this is something that you have to keep up, but I was wondering, like how the situation is with the government schools, right? And we live in the inner city and what we're seeing, and so I'm wondering if it's really going to get any better. But, I don't know. I guess I'm much older than you, but you all used to be trouble, I didn't know you in particular, right? But, the Strawns, Ali, they all, a beak of them used to be, and Whitey and Mitch and all of them, right?
Whitey, Mitch, Scrooge.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk things into the but you always have everything, but, you see, that side corner. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I don't know if you remember my cousin Brian Blair.
What you mean, Brian Blair? Brian's my boy, man.
All right.
From Camp
and,
Road.
Listen to me, and that is the fool, right?
Yes,
and so,
from Camp Road.
But that's a street name, but I don't want to call it a son name.
Yeah.
But
you don't call it.
No, but that was a street name. And
yeah.
But what I'm saying is he was biggity. I remember one time. Let me give you a real story that I showing you how big the Raiders gang was. We was going by the Palace, I think, one time. Me and about 6 or 7 friends. I had a Dodge truck, and we was heading east on Hay Street. So as we reached Hay Street and East Street, right? I don't know who they was warned with. I don't know if it's y'all, but that means they was south of Lewis Street, so it could have been y'all, right?
Yes.
But the gang was so big. You listening? I look up by the bars because I was doing the driving. The crowd was from descending the hill, the brink of the hill.
And where they were?
Pass. Just by way, all the campers, so the fellas in the truck telling me, pull out. Like, man, I do these fellas that money, you don't need to pull out. And so, I see ox, cutlass, man, listen, listen, in them days there, and this one, the police car pull up and they blowing their siren.
In that happening?
I telling you what I see with my own eyes. The police, only 2 police in the car, and they pull off, they slow down and pull off. You understand me? I telling you what I see.
The guys never...
so laugh, and I say, nah, that mean, what I mean? This is what it was, but, you need a lot of people like you, Scroogy, to really looking at the social deterioration with the educational system now, and I know what I seen in the city. And so, the message you sending have to reach the young people because, some of them, when they get these little tools, you know what I mean, they feel as if they're invincible. And then the program have to start much earlier because I've been through the same thing, and it's kind of like a culture because I know, you remember Lil Pat, right?
Yeah, I remember Lil Pat.
When me and him used to do the kickboxing thing, from roll them down, but he'd be like, Gabardine had a problem in Zanzibar. And, you know, like you say, you go to Zanzibar, you know, a lot of people get killed around Zanzibar.
Yes.
You still used to go there. Me and Bo them in school, so we was coming out the club one night, and so one of Bobo Isaac brothers, they was in the problem with Gabardine, but Gabardine and Chew, we lived to the same corner. I know what's happening. Me and some other fellas walking out. He come behind us like we supposed to protect him, and he had a problem. So one of the fellas jack out the tool and say, "But here, you know, kung fu, I know gun fu, and way. And then I left. It was a problem from then. So I burned them. You know, I burned them around by Rodham to Wellington Street.
Yes, sir. I know all them.
One night when I looked, fella shouting in the dark, "See how easy you all is to dead." So I know it was. I said, "Man, if you don't shoot me, I turn my back and keep walking. I ain't run over them." You understand what I'm saying? But these are the type of things that young people do. And I wasn't even mixed up. And this is trying to show you the chronology
and how people think.
And the sequence of what could happen.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that I wouldn't incriminate myself about on air, right? But me and Benji was cool too. I didn't know all the Mouche brothers, but I never get to know Mouche. But I know Twin, I know Chucky, I know everybody. So
Yeah, you know everybody.
I used to go to that corner there. Me and Frida used to come to the greenhouse on the corner where by Yates them live.
Yeah.
I used to go to one house right there, me and Frida them. So this thing go away. I was Benji them, and Diane still run. But when we reach this age, Squishy, we got to do something. That's what I saying is because it's going to be an epidemic. And these young cats, they just kill a young cat the other day. But this is, and the thing is, I don't think they see the tit for tat. Like it's sad. I don't know what's going on. Like they numb to this.
They think they could get away with it. Yeah, you can get away with it tonight. But guess what, brother?
But you got to. But you got to let me know when your restaurant open up. You know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know you got some idle in there.
Yes, sir.
You know what
Yes,
I mean?
sir.
But yeah, man, real talk. You know. But,
Right.
but I wondered how you could improve the situation. But you got to get people to reach out now because I mean at my age right now, that's the best thing I could do because the ghetto youths they're already disenfranchised and people who be in the government schools should really reach out. And like people who, like, let's say Pintard, he's one of the people, and a lot of people who productive in society from the government school program, even the guy you had on the other day. So we need them to come forward, and the government need to get, I can't believe schooling open here, and I see children going to
And this is going to be a major problem for us.
What type of paradigm they trying to, what kind of biosecurity, what type of paradigm these people creating, Squishy?
Right?
Man, Squishy, this is a serious thing, you know. The children running around, you witnessing these things, man. Squishy,
Right now, all around Nassau. Kids wild loose.
Still, man. Just
Yes.
keep up the good work.
Yes,
Yeah, man,
thank you.
And you see the thing there, what you're talking about, like all them things there, man, me, in the go up, I used to meet you 8th Street like 30 years ago, and there's ain't much people I ain't go up or see up and know, but all of the kids, everybody know one another in Nassau too. And so all of this, even with the example you was talking about how the Prime Minister and the other fellow was rowing and all that, right? But me and you know back in the days, if a fellow was bigger than you and you get in a fight, you put 5 or 6 rock in the corner of your hand, and so they don't even understand the dangers of violence. Violence, it don't be who could beat one another no more. You beat up a fella, he come back and speak. You understand?
Yes.
So you have to be able to teach these things. When you live long enough, you have to spread wisdom. That's what you're for.
Yes.
The reason for speaking, right, Squishy, is to enlighten.
Yes.
And for people to walk away with something.
Yes.
You know, even though they criticize you, but you don't have to criticize everything.
Yes.
Sometimes you just forget about the person and you just listen to the message.
Yes.
You don't get too personal.
Yes.
You see, they saying like, you know what I mean? But I gotta encourage you, man. You know, let's get this. It gotta happen. I don't know what's going on, especially in the Grove now.
Yes.
The Grove is Anglican and Anglican is Grove. They keep St. Barnabas and keep changing these boundaries and things. So I don't know what type of paradigm that is, but it's Squishy. But what I seeing, you can't get no better, brother. Because the youth, what I seeing now, they ain't get no laptop. They ain't get no internet. They moving around and they
Poverty killing them.
and I have to show them just the other day to show the youth. You know, they bought it with someone who they didn't know, and the person, uncle lived right there and gone back and ended up in a problem. But my brethren is the senior man. They tell him he didn't have to slap the little youth. Because the youth them have love for me because they know they can always come to me and get something. Plus, I never showed them nothing wrong. Just the way I see it. But if once they're not conscious, I don't know. You think they're conscious of what could happen, or they just think it's a dream world, or
No, they're not getting the proper education.
Something to do with the external reality.
See, they're not getting the proper education.
The
See,
violence in the homes and things
yes,
like that too.
yes. And then we are not setting no example with violent crimes in the country. You know, I'm not down with no capital punishment, but some of these crimes, you know, you just like...
Yeah, but Squishy, back in the days, we had principle, you know.
Yeah.
The rape and robbery thing then, all them things then. I mean, I don't know. It seems to me as if you could get away with everything.
Right now.
Reading an incident where a lady said a guy groped and kissed her son at a party. Yet still he didn't appear in the newspaper or nothing or whatever,
Yes.
you know. It just seems like it's a one-way street with these type of scenarios, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But, I don't know what's going on. I kind of like the ready. I have a social distancing, right? And I've become so reclusive. Like, of trying to become numb because I know the journey and I know the path and I know what's to come. From the biosecurity paradigm to the New World Order paradigm that most people seem to be want to push their head in the sand and they don't understand.
I know what's about to come.
In which globalists and people will achieve their agenda.
Yes.
But it's just like,
Bro, yeah.
bless up.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. I want to say thanks to this lady. She said, father figures need to really be the main issue in the young man's life because a woman can only do so much for the child, the man, when he speaks, he's a lion. So when the mother speaks to him and say, look here, Scoochie, you need to go clean the toilet. I can't grumble because, I could call your daddy or I could call your uncle. What surprised me in the last 30 years is I can't believe how much we deteriorate. I can remember one time when aunties, godparents, and uncles were more important than the parents. I can remember one time when my grandmother used to say, Scoochie, you think I got time to talk to you? I gonna call your uncle. When she say she gonna call my Uncle Barry, hey, listen to me. I doing what she say because my uncle was like my father figure. But he had authority over me because he was bigger than me. He was a man, and I was afraid of him. So when she said that, it made me go do my chores. Then when I'm finished, she said I could go. So a male figure is very important, and that is missing in our country for both male and female in the country right now. The broken home is destroying us in this country. Poverty is destroying us. We have to put development in these communities, honestly speaking. We have some serious young men out there. Listen to me, people. Some of them guys, like, who used to come into prison during those 10-year stretch, 15-year stretch. You put them back on the streets. These guys are not human. Some of them are animals, all right? I mean animals. Over the course of the year, I could call some of them names and I could tell you who there's animals. Like, I know there's animals. I know them from I was a guy on the street. I was a gangster. But these guys are 10 times worse as us because these guys had rape, they would sodomize, they would kill a person for no particular reason. And that's what our prison is harboring. And then the prison is releasing them back in society. In a society, in a community, that does not have no structure, does not have no community centers, has no empowerment zone set up for people who have small businesses. You're going to send this person right back in this community. This person is going to pry on poisons in the community. He's going to break in people's house. He's going to rape somebody. Then eventually, he's going to kill somebody. Then eventually, he's going to get killed by somebody. If he don't get killed from the police, he would get killed from somebody in the community. And this was going on in our country. In prison, you're not even safe, okay? It has been stated here that prison inmate was murdered. Minister of National Security, Wayne Monroe, has confirmed that blunt force trauma is the cause of death of an inmate who was found dead at the Bahamas Correctional Center. Question needs to be asked. Who killed the prisoner? Did the prison officer kill the prisoner? Or did the inmates kill the prisoner? Well, someone had to kill the prisoner, right? Because he sure was living when he was remanded in custody. So we need to find out what happened to the prisoner. But this is our prison. So if you're not safe in prison, what you think you're going to be safe on the streets of Nassau and Providence? And then the thing is, right, when these young men, when we charge them before the courts, if we do find them, because it seems we can't find these guys who commit these murders because guys know how to beat the system now. Police come after the fact. A person who's intent on killing somebody is gonna drop their plan, come up with their strategic. If you watch the scene with the shooting of the 6 young gentlemen, you could see that was a perfectly calculated ambush. That was something that was thought out. That wasn't just random, that we just jump up and we get up and we do this. That was properly, strategically planned out. in a space of an hour or 2 hours, they plan that out and they execute it with precision. Okay? You can't catch those guys. All right? You don't never know when someone's going to come and kill you. So we have to educate. We have to put in preventative measures that we don't let our young man them have this type of mentality of that much extreme violence. So we need to build back the family structure in this country. We need to empower the community. We need to have all hands on deck to change the mindset of our citizens in this country. As it stands now, we jumped up and down a few weeks ago with little baby Bella. Come to find out, we found out that the little girl was actually physically had fracture wounds. You know what that means? That means she was kicked or punched and thrown down from a gentleman, a young man who 30-something, could be 40-something, a young 3 or 4-year-old. What could she have done for a person to get so mad, a man who's supposed to be a man, that he has taken his frustration out on a little baby girl and he killed her? And listen to me, I ain't for the death penalty. All right? Like I said, the reason why, because I see where we hang innocent person and crucify Christ. I see we crucify John the Baptist. And I see we crucify a lot of believers who believe in the Father. And they were innocent. Right? And that's my reason. But without a shadow of doubt, like Ferguson said, what Christ said about children, if you hurt children, tie a rope around your neck and jump overboard and hurt a child. This is one incident. Need to make a prime example of the young man. Because when he was beaten and kicking her, he was a judge and jury. He feel no compassion. He didn't feel sorry. Imagine kicking that little girl or stomping her or slamming her down on the ground. And they said that she had healing wounds. That means even when she passed away, they still said she had fractures, what was healing. So that means within that 2 months' time, she was done getting physically abused. Lucky thing she wasn't sexually abused. But that demon, right? That demon, I call them demons. They're demon. Because no one in their right mind could hurt a little child. Hearing the scream, knowing they're fragile, they're beautiful. Huh? I'll be the first person getting neck pop. All right? Honestly, that's the voice of the voice. We have a call? That's the voice of the voice. But even though that is our position to look at the penalty, we still have to do more so to make sure that we teach our young men and our young girls to have a more changed mindset. We need to teach them what is right, what is wrong. You ever take a break? What is wrong? What will happen to you if you commit these crimes? You know, give them the best education, you know. We have to do something. I see my producer say we have to take a break. So we'll be right back on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio 96.9. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Way I doing the best I can, trying to turn my dollar to 100.
COVID-19 doesn't take holidays off, and neither should you. We can celebrate the holiday season while continuing to follow all public health protocols and regulations. We must also remember to wash our hands and sanitize frequently. Wear our masks, cough and sneeze into our elbows, disinfect items brought into our homes, stay at least 3 feet away from others in public, and remain at home when we're feeling unwell. Let's have a happy and healthy holiday.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, Digital printing, wide format, or print consultation? Call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal, professional service at an affordable price. Our state-of-the-art technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters. Call 302-2361, 302-2361, or visit us at the Nassau Guardian Building in Oaksfield. Print with the best. Print with Print Masters.
Helping out each other, family and everybody. It's a simple act of kindness with you, me, and RBC.
RBC wants to spread acts of kindness during this festive season. One simple act of kindness for our friends, co-workers, and communities can cause the brightest smile. Help a stranger, give a food basket, or call an elderly person. Share your stories at facebook.com/RBC Caribbean.
Acts of kindness, RBC.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Boy, I from Baytown.
We're back on Garden Radio 96.9 FM, and I hope you're enjoying the show. And just a reminder, guns is a big thing in the country. And I wanted to remind the general public, I know all these penalties that you see come out with gun offense and crime, most of these was put in motion for us when we were gangsters in the early 90s and 2000 amendments. And I want to say this to the country. Guns became a big issue in this country when we went after all the drug dealers. When we went after all the drug dealers, the trade changed. People stopped from getting drugs, went into guns. Now, here's the thing. Guns is big business in the country. Okay. A pound of weed, marijuana that you probably get from Jamaica, you'd spend probably $50 to $100 for a pound. Probably $50 a pound in Jamaica. Over here, if you get it over, smuggle it in on your boat, go fast boat from Jamaica to the Bahamas, you could sell your pound anywhere from $1,000 to even if it's top of the line marijuana, you could get it like for $1,300, $1,400. So the profit is big in the marijuana because you're spending $50 or $100 for a pound of it. And then when you come to the Bahamas, the value goes up. And the value could go anywhere, like I said, from 500, 700 to 1,000 to roughly 1,500. If it's really good stuff, you could get up to 1,500. The gun trade is like this. You can buy a gun in the States, right? $50, $100, a 9mm. And you can bring it over here in the Bahamas, you smuggle it in or bringing it to the ports. A lot of these guns are coming in through ports that we don't check, because some people have special privilege. They get yachts, and etc. If you watch the newspaper, you'll see where our defense force officers have been stopping a lot of yachts in the last few months, and they find illegal firearms that they were bringing in the country. Okay, these guns are then put in the hands of Bahamian people for a small profit. A handgun like a 9mm, which you could probably buy in the States for $100 and $150. If you smuggle it in the Bahamas, you could get anywhere from $1,500 for that particular gun. A AK-47, Draco, or what, etc. You could get one of those for either $2,500. But think about this, right? So it's a big business here in the country, right? Many of our young persons are involved in these illegal activities. But are we showing people that if you are selling guns, right, even though you're not pulling the trigger, do you know that you're responsible for all those persons who you sell those guns to, and anyone who harms anyone with those guns, you are responsible? So my friend Santana Forbes was telling me, say, the Minister of National Security needed to make gun a weapon of mass destruction in the country. Probably stiffer penalty. I don't think that's going to help, but we'd have to do whatever we have to do to try and deal with this deal with these firearms that come in the country. Like I said, they're coming in through ports. You know, I don't know. Some people mention, say, Life Icky. Some say the ports, Portuguese dock. Some say from importing, exporting all the container ports and etc. You know, and coming into customs and business people bringing them in. Recently, a few years ago, we saw where the police made a raid on a particular business, and they bust the business, and the business owner had a variety of ammunition and firearms. So it's rough. And then the kids have been in school for 19 months. And like I said, the kids are all around the streets right now. They are on the streets. They are the parents. Where parents? Parents in Grandstand, parents in Bainton, parents in Camp Road, parents in Fox Hill, parents in Angliston. Where are you? Your children on the streets now? Where are their parents? Parents, you got to step up. Too much kids on the road believe they are grown-ups. They're having free time. Some of these kids is be outside till 11 o'clock. Kids being outside till 11 o'clock, so you see all this shooting we having in the country, this could get worse. Our kids could be out 11, 12 o'clock in the night. Where are their parents? This what going on in our country. Grown-ups, the grown-ups in this day who say they are 30-something, 40-something, they ain't concerned about the youths in the country and their community. You know, sometimes I be outside, right? And the kids will be in the road throwing ball and rock, right? So some of the parents be sitting right on the side, and they throwing in the road, throwing ball and rock. And I'd hear the ball break. I watching TV. I'd have to come from my room, stand to the road, open the gate, and look down the road and say, hey, y'all carry your little hip inside, throwing ball and rock, and I'd come walk on my slipper and say, you go inside, you go inside. And their parents sitting right on the porch, and they wouldn't even tell these kids to stop throwing rock and ball. So some of the responsibility just goes on to the parents and the community residents who, are, for some strange reason, they're afraid of kids. They're afraid of kids. Like kids setting fright into grown-ups. You know? In our schools, my friend said, you know, we need to introduce programs in the school. You know, because many of the kids are going to school. We need to give the guidance counselor more power, as to say, you know, we need to give the guidance counselor a sniping where she could deal with some of the kids that comes in the guidance council, you know, to be able to assist. Sometimes the kids need food, you know, need tennis, etc. They need someone to talk to. So guidance counselors are just like parents too. The teachers are like parents too. So when these kids leave all this environment and they go to the public school or junior high school, at least let's equip the teachers who care about the kids with the right resources so they could be able to be the father and mother for the kids, or the aunt or the uncle or the godmother, you know, for that kid. We need to empower the teachers more. We need to empower the guidance council, because the kids are leaving from this environment, from a broken home, seeing a lot of abuse, getting cursed at home. They're going to school without the proper uniform, without the proper tennis, so they feel shame. So if they go to school, they can have someone to look up to, knowing that they have the guidance council, they have the principal looking out for them. Like how we had Howard Newbold looking out for us, and then he would send us down to the late great, I get his name, Pastor, oh shoot, I forget the pastor name, oh Lord, Pastor William Thompson with C.R. Walker, and we were the roughest and worst set of kids in C.R. Walker. And Mr. Newbold came up with a strategic plan on ways to mentor us. So yes, you know, I just want the general public to know our country's in serious problem. Guns is $1,500 to $1,000 for a 9mm or 40 AK-47 going for $2,500 to probably $3,000, and they're here in abundance. And the thing is, right, all of these murders, these are not the same person who are committing these murders. The murders that happened on Mason Additional with the 3 young men who get killed, They different guys who commit the offense. The guys who committed the 6 murders a few months ago, down in that area who killed those 6 guys, they were different guys. The guys who just commit murder the other day in that particular area in Baintown, that's somebody else. You know, it's always somebody else. It's rare that you see that same person. You know, some guys have more like shooting under their belt because they travel from area to area. But what I'm trying to say is we have so many young persons right now who are becoming murderers, who are becoming, gunmen in the country. You know, and for us, it's a problem for us. So that's why be careful. Because someone could hire one of these guys and you ain't do them nothing and you don't know when that is going to hit you. If you notice, many cases you see guys pulling up in their parking lot and they meet a assailant there and they get shoot. That's because someone paid them to take you out. That person who shoot you or trying to kill you, you ain't doing nothing and he ain't do you nothing, but someone paid him because you and someone had an argument. And that person plot on you. You know, because this person coming to prison, this person saying, oh, look here, you need something to do, boss? And he said, yeah, I get something to do. You know this boy, yeah, he messed with me. Him and the girl. I said, man, look here. What you say, man, boss, man? All you got to do is buy the tool. Tool means gun. So boss said, look here. You know what it is? I give you $1,500. Get it. And I give you $2,000 to put in your pocket. And that's the guy right here on Facebook. That's why you need to watch yourself. That's the guy on Facebook. That's him, yeah. I want you to deal with him. And then you who are off guard, who had an argument to the club, mind you, over a basketball game or over a grill, okay? When you go home, you meet your killer right at your doorsteps. And that's what happened in our country right to this day. But I just want to say to the guy who pulled the trigger, who take that innocent life, that eventually your day is going to come too. Your day is going to come too. Don't think you could take life. Don't think you could hurt people and you will get away with it. They say what goes around comes around. All right? Like I say, I don't like to talk about these matters. I'm only talking for this to be an educational program so we can see what the problem is in our country. You pull that trigger and you hurt people. One day, you will end up in Princess Margaret Hospital. One day, you will end up in the morgue. So I'm encouraging persons out there, when you go to the nightclub, please stay away from argument. If you know someone who always in problem, you don't have to be to follow them up. Don't argue, just walk away. Don't have nothing to say. You understand? So I hope you enjoyed the show. And I'll see you next week on Guardian Radio 96.9. FM, it's a pleasure to have you on this week, Friday. So we'll see you next week on Guardian Radio. Have a wonderful good night. Yeah, Tana.
Reason. Only God that I believe in. Watch them only pass for a season. Godless, I got weed.